One would think I had knocked down a little old lady and stolen her purse, or robbed a Girl Scout by taking her cookies. The response to the recent segment, Why I Will Never Vote for Mitt Romney, really created quite a stir. Hello, I'm Jerry Johnson, and I welcome you to this edition of Against the World. Most of the calls and emails we've received have been, for the most part, very positive and supportive. In fact, I've heard from many Mitt Romney supporters who now state that they too will never cast their lot for him. But today, I'm going to take a few moments to respond to one of the more thoughtful postings. The writer of this email started off by stating that he believed I was way off base by trying to use the Bible to justify my stance against Mr. Romney. He then asked a few questions, and I've decided that I will respond to them here. First, he said, show me in the Bible where I have to cast my vote for a Christian. Okay, here's my answer. And by the way, you may not agree with me. These are questions that I think every Christian needs to consider. Most Bible-believing Protestant churches have congregational meetings when voting for a minister who's going to fill the pulpit. I don't care if they're Congregational or Baptist. Do you think God cares what the potential ministerial candidate believes? To ask it another way, is it the responsibility of the congregation to make sure that the man that they are considering to fill the pulpit have a valid profession of faith and embrace biblical orthodoxy? I'm just guessing here, but I believe every Bible-believing Christian would answer yes, of course. That's a no-brainer. In Romans 13, verses 3 and 4, Paul identifies civil rulers as ministers of God. And since we have the responsibility to make sure the pulpit minister is a Bible-believing Orthodox Christian, why would we and why should we settle for anything less when it comes to the civil minister? Matthew Poole notes on this passage, that is the end of his office. And for this reason God hath invested him with his authority. The Scriptures apply the same title to him that preacheth the word, and to him that beareth the sword. Both are God's ministers, and there is one common end of their ministry, which is the good and welfare of mankind. Let me pause here to ask you another question. Do you think the Apostle Paul would have campaigned and supported for the office of civil magistrate, what we would have as an elected official? Do you think he would have supported and campaigned for one of the Judaizers whom he had just leveled an anathema against? Now, a lot of folks may object here, falling headlong into a sea of rationalism by responding, Jerry, we could never get a Bible-believing Christian elected. Well, my friends, with men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. It may not happen overnight. It may take some time. But perhaps if we did not compromise our stated beliefs, then those beliefs may eventually become the majority report. Next, my friend wrote, Romney is a Mormon, and I strongly disagree with a significant number of Mormon theological beliefs, which I find to be inconsistent with the Bible and with historic Christian teachings. I pause here again, and I invoke a bit of sarcasm. Do you really believe that the Apostle Paul would use the word inconsistent to explain Mormon theology? Perhaps anathema, maybe another gospel which is no gospel at all. Possibly he would rehearse what he wrote to the Corinthians, book 2, chapter 11, verses 3 and 4, and ask us why we continue, like the Corinthians did, to tolerate those who have a false gospel and another Jesus. Finally, my friend closed with this statement. Many Mormon teachings on ethics and values are similar to those in the Bible, and those teachings support Romney's conservative political values. So in conclusion, you can withhold your vote from Romney for political reasons if you wish, but you should not for theological reasons. Well, my friends, now we get to the crux of the matter. The mistaken notion that simply because someone holds to the morals of Christianity, it does not make them a Christian. Moralism is not Christianity. In fact, it is our theological and historical enemy. Paul addresses moralism in the same chapter I just quoted from 2 Corinthians 11. For such men are false apostles, deceitful workmen, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So it is no surprise if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. Their end will correspond to their deeds. So what should we do? Well, as for me and my house, we shall serve the Lord. Until next week, this is Jerry Johnson standing contra mundum against the world.